Bo Bichette has been brought up in trade talks yet again, and this time it's the Chicago Cubs. First it was the Dodgers, now the Cubs, and he's said to be one of their main targets this offseason. They want to transition him to third base. Sometimes things are said just to be said, but there may be some truth behind this, so we'll break that down on this episode of Jay's Digest, as well as Danny Jansen. He's one of the better catchers in the league, but he's going to be a free agent soon, and on a thin market, he's very valuable. So we'll have that and much more coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, if you're a Bo Bichette fan, if you're a Blue Jays fan, look the other way because we just saw another report saying that the Cubs are interested in trading for him. Obviously, we know that it's going to be costly, and they're going to have to give up a big package to even entertain the idea for the Toronto Blue Jays. However, I mean, this is the second report that we're seeing now, and the Jays, if they don't make a significant move here, I don't know if they're going to be considered World Series contenders. Definitely not if they have the same team and go into next year with the same group of players. So maybe they will be in the market to trade some of those guys that are going to be hitting free agency in 2024 or 2025. And we're going to discuss a couple of them today. But the first one is Bo Bichette, Nick. And this is scary. I mean, this is the second time that we're seeing this. Obviously, a lot of teams are going to want a shortstop that's one of the top hitters in the league, that plays a premium position, whose defense has gotten better and better every year. There's going to be no shortage of suitors for him, but the price is going to be very high, and the Cubs seem to be willing to make a push. They want to keep Cody Bellinger. They want to sign Shohei Ohtani. They want to push all their chips in the middle of the table. And this is one of the dominoes that they want to make fall.
Yeah, and we know the Blue Jays, they're said to want to make a big move, but I'm not sure this is the move that many Jays fans are thinking of. Quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. We're very close to 10,000 subs. About 70% of you guys aren't subscribed or watching right now, so scroll down and check, and it would mean the world to me and Peter, and that's a big goal for us. Hit it before the end of the month is the goal here. All right, Peter, let's get into the first topic. Very, very weird. So we obviously know, if you checked out our video about a week or so ago, I think it was about then, time is flying by in this offseason, so I'll jumble now. The Dodgers and Bo Bichette were kind of linked by our reporter. And then, Peter, as the time of recording, this dropped a little bit ago. By the time you're seeing this, it was probably late last night. So I'm hearing the Cubs have talked to the Blue Jays about Bo Bichette, who would play third base for the Cubs. And this is the interesting thing. And this was hinted at by Kay Fids yesterday, which is another, I believe, Cubs reporter. And then John Morrissey, as mentioned last year, Bichette is signed through 2025 and would cost a big return. Now, let's preface this by saying this guy isn't a fully reliable reporter like Jeff Passan, like Ken Rosenthal and those guys, but he seems to have sources among the Cubs organization. He seems to be one of those guys who's kind of like a Cubs writer, insider type thing. We know a lot of those float around, so who knows the legitimacy of this report, but it got a lot of traction, and people are saying that he's a pretty legit Cubs guy, a Locked On Cubs. I believe he goes on there sometimes, writes for them and stuff like that. So, Peter, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know where all these rumors are coming from. And the scary thing to me is that it's a different team this time. It's not another rumor about the Dodgers. This is from a completely different guy, completely different camp. What are your thoughts on this? I did not think we'd be having this conversation. Probably won't happen. But I mean, we're at the point of the offseason now where this conversation, there's nothing else to talk about regarding the Blue Jays until they make a move. So may as well discuss this.
Yeah, I still don't buy it. I understand that there could be some truth to it, but I mean, Locked On is a platform, and they're like us. It's basically, if we were to say that the Toronto Blue Jays are interested in trading for Dansby Swanson, we don't know that. I mean, I'd love to be more in tune with the Toronto Blue Jays, but we don't have that inside information. So he could just be spewing ridiculousness now, and that's very possible. I don't buy those rumors. I don't buy that they are concrete, and I don't buy that he has sources within the Cubs organization either. Look, obviously, a lot of teams are going to be interested in Bo Bichette because he's such a great player. He's great at hitting. He's getting better and better on the defensive end, and you can see that he wants to win. He lays it all out there on the field. Obviously, he makes some boneheaded mistakes, but he's still a very young player with a very high ceiling as well. So I don't think the Blue Jays are going to be just waiting to get rid of him, or looking to get rid of him, I should say. Look, I know he's going to be a free agent in a couple of years. You have 2 more seasons to get an extension done here if you want to keep him in Toronto long term. But I think those talks are always ongoing, and I think they just want to see 1 more year. They just want to see what this core is going to do before they decide to roll with it, or before they decide to make those changes and turn it over to a different group of players. But I'll compare this situation to the Matt Chapman one that we saw early last year. We saw that the Mets were rumored to want to bring in Matt Chapman. They wanted to make a trade, but it didn't really make sense because the Blue Jays wanted to compete. So why would they get rid of their starting third baseman, a guy that they know is going to play 150 plus games? Because that would totally handcuff them. That wouldn't make sense for the Blue Jays to do that. And if the Blue Jays want to compete this year, and by all indications they do, because the renovations are happening, they want to increase the payroll, they want to add more pieces. I mean, why would you get rid of your best player if you're looking to do all those things? So, sure, you could have interest in Bo Bichette, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I think this Blue Jays front office wants to keep this current group for at least 1 more year, and then maybe they'll reevaluate things next offseason, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and again, the main reason the Dodgers report was from a more legitimate reporter, and again, who knows the legitimacy, not A sources, but again, who knows? It's speculation, and this guy, who knows? If you know about him, let me know in the comments, but the tweet definitely gained a lot of traction. You're looking at a potential package. I saw one thrown out there. So Bo Bichette for Nico Horner, one of the top prospects, Cade Horton, and then another prospect in Canario. I believe he's a prospect. Don't quote me on that. But I know Cade Horton, he's a very, very good guy. And Peter, again, I'm not going to get into the depth too much. I don't like talking about Bo Bichette trade packages here. But the point of this graphic is that if you're giving up Bo Bichette, you need to get a ransom back, and the only way we're giving up Bo Bichette, like, I feel like for us to give up Bo Bichette, something bad would have to happen this offseason, because right now their goal is to improve the team and make them World Series contenders, not to trade away the player that is going to help you win the World Series the most. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, where there's smoke, there's sometimes fire, and the Dodgers happen, now the Cubs, so who knows? I mean, I'm sure we'll get more info on this as we roll on, but any quick final thoughts before we move on to the Jansen topic?
Yeah, it's not a bad package either. I
good.
mean, Nico Horner's a great player. Guy's a good base stealer. Cade Horton is their second-ranked prospect, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to see Pete Crow Armstrong, the outfielder, get thrown in there because I think he's major league ready. That's their top prospect. I would rather have him instead of Horton in that package, but I don't know if the Cubs would even entertain that fact. But if you want to get something, if you want to get an all-star level player, an all-MLB caliber player like Bo Bichette, you're going to have to pay up. And as good as that package is, it's very respectable. It's still not enough for one of the game's best players. So if it were to even happen, it would like you said, it would have to be a king's ransom type deal for the Blue Jays. Now, Horner's a great player, but he's not on the level of Bo Bichette, and you need a lot more. You need Horner plus, and that's just not it right there.
I mean, yeah, it's like a case where obviously, like, at face value, this would make sense. If Bo Bichette demanded a trade or it was a pending UFA, you don't think you're going to re-sign him, it makes a bit more sense. But in a time right now where, you know, you're kind of only looking to trade. I don't even think Frost is looking to trade him, but if he was, you need to get double what you usually want to get if you had to trade the guy. But that's enough talking about that. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on this package. It is intriguing, like you said, Peter, but I don't know. Bo's a different beast. So let's quickly touch on Danny Jansen gone. Now, I don't mean gone this offseason. I mean contract extension not looking good, and he is our best catcher when healthy. I don't think that's really a debate. At least last season he was. In the past couple seasons, Alejandro Kirk has a chance next season to be something great. But Blue Jays catcher Danny Jansen is poised to hit free agency in the 2024 season, and it appears the 28-year-old and the team are not getting together on an extension anytime soon. Now I'm going to go over this story Chris Black posted here in a minute. But Peter, I watched the little clip. It was essentially on a podcast type interview scenario, and he said that him and the Blue Jays started to have conversation talks, and they quickly got shut down, and they both agreed mutually that they're going to wait on any extension, I think, for this offseason, I believe. I don't know if they were talking whether it was last season or this season. The point is that an extension is not going to happen this offseason, according to him, unless things change rather quickly. So what do we do with Danny Jansen? He will be pending UFA, and that's kind of what Chris Black leans into here. The catching market is horrible for the free agency this offseason. So do you consider, and he's kind of putting two and two together where Ben Nicholson Smith tweeted about how the Jays are a big move. another offseason where they potentially deal one of their catchers, and then really lean into Alejandro Kirk, and then maybe get a backup guy. I mean, Tyler Heineman we still have, I believe, on the team, and he's a serviceable enough backup catcher. Is this crazy talk, or do you think, I don't know, it's wild?
I think it's just Danny Jansen betting on himself here.
Yeah.
Because if he can stay healthy for a full season, he's going to get paid big time. But if he can't and he hasn't been able to, I mean, then it works out in the Blue Jays' favor. So he's taking a big gamble here because he hasn't played a full season in, I don't remember how long.
Never.
Yeah, the most games that he's played is 107 there. And obviously catchers are different. Like, they're not going to play every day. But if you do trade Danny Jansen, then you're putting all your faith into Alejandro Kirk. And I don't know how I feel about that. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to have a big-time bounce-back year next year. But at the same time, do you want him catching 120 times, 130 times? It's a lot. We see the wear and tear that he takes, and we see how that affects his hitting later on in the season. He's not able to swing it the way he was earlier in the year just because he's been getting taxed and he's been catching. So I like what the Blue Jays do with their catching tandem. They have those two guys, and they're two of the top 10 catchers in the game, and they can put them out there in a pinch, and someone can DH once in a while. You can give them extra days of rest if one guy is rolling a little bit better. I wouldn't get rid of that tandem. That's a big reason why you got rid of Gabriel Moreno. It's because you have those two guys, and you have them playing at such a high level when they're both healthy and when they're both going. So why would you mess with that? I get that you need to address other areas of your team, but catcher is no longer a position where you're stacked. You know, you don't have three big league catchers anymore. You have two, and I don't consider Tyler Heineman a big league catcher. He's done a good job when he has been called upon defensively, but hitting wise, that's not a guy that you want starting 50 plus games for you. And Danny Jansen should not be going anywhere. I think this is a gamble for both sides. I would lock him up long term if I were the Blue Jays, but at the same time, he doesn't have a clean bill of health, and you don't know what you're getting from him year in, year out. But when he is on the field, he's a great player.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit scary on a lot of fronts for the Blue Jays. I mean, like you mentioned, he's going to be a UFA after this year, and it's a very good point. He's most likely betting on himself because he has the ability to get paid a ton if he can stay healthy. But if you're the Blue Jays and he ends up going out there, and let's say he gets injured again, or he has a great season and plays himself maybe out of a contract regarding the Blue Jays because of their salary, and this is all speculation, but they have Bo Bichette and Vladdy who they also need to extend. Like, it's starting to add up now where they have so many guys they need to extend. I don't think a trade's going to happen, especially even just given the optics of trading Moreno. A couple years back when they traded Riley Adams to the Washington Nationals, like, that was another guy who would probably be better than Tyler Heineman would be for at least the backup role. Obviously, he hasn't performed great in the MLB, but it's getting a little bit scary, and I understand the whole don't trade him thing. I don't think they will, but I mean, if they think he's going to walk, then what do you do? It is getting scary, Peter, and I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about this contract situation. I think it'll all sort itself out. It's probably a bit of an overreaction, but Danny Jansen in particular is super strange because, I don't know, the health is one of the major things, and it's affecting both sides right now, but he's about to be a UFA at the end of the year, so if they don't think they can extend him, what do you do then? Just ride it out and go for a World Series?
I think the Blue Jays are going to make a choice here when it comes to their core of players. They're going to sign maybe 2 out of 3 long term. And that's a big reason why they got rid of Teoscar Hernandez last offseason. It's because they didn't see themselves re-signing him, and that made sense. They had to improve their current team, but they also didn't want to lose him for nothing, so they had to make that difficult choice. But I don't think this is the case with Danny Jansen. I think they want to keep this tandem going for at least a couple more years. And Danny Jansen, if he does get hurt, he'll be lucky to get any money in free agency because you just don't know what it's like in the volatility of the catcher market. So it's going to be interesting to follow. But for this season, I don't think Danny Jansen is going anywhere. I think you can deal from other areas of strength like your prospects, your infield prospects, more in depth there, and you can get something in return for your big league club. But Danny Jansen, in my opinion, is indispensable and should not be even brought up in trade talks. Not this offseason, at least.
Yeah, unless they know something that we don't, but I would tend to agree. I mean, you can't afford to do it if you're going for a World Series. And we're talking about 2 players right now that are very key to this team. But that'll wrap up the video. It's a weird time. Moves are going to happen very, very soon. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. The first domino is bound to fall for the trade market or the free agency market. And we'll stay tuned and we'll cover it all for you. So thank you guys for watching. If you want to check out our video from yesterday, click on your screen right here. And we'll see you later.